at Freeborough. I'm an ambassador on this project. I'm also a volunteer at the Pankhurst Centre in the museum as well. Some of the ambassadors have been to loads of the events that have been celebrating the 100 years since some women got the vote, and they've been documenting them, taking photos, collecting flyers, everything to go towards the archives. And I've mainly been involved in the exhibition of those archives. So going to loads of meetings. Did some archive workshops, some zine workshops. I actually did a presentation at one of the workshops that was talking about how you make decisions of which pieces to put in the exhibition and things like that. All everything to do with the installation. And so the reasons I wanted to get involved in the project as an ambassador is there's a few different levels for me. I grew up in Greater Manchester, so I'm really proud of the Pankhurst, coming from here, the birthplace of the suffragettes. That was the first level. Also, I'm really conscious that women in the past have been written out of history. Usually, women who've invented things have had a man take on the credit for it, and women's achievements haven't been celebrated in the way they should have been. So I'm really conscious that in the future, women need to be written into history and been given the credit for the work that's done. So and just the everyday lives that we have. So that's why I felt that this project was really important to document this year as a celebration, but also creating a legacy for future girls and women to aspire to, and to keep the fight going for equality. There's some really interesting pieces that have been submitted to the archive. There's certain pieces that weren't relevant for the exhibition necessarily, but some really nice pieces like cards from speeches that have happened at the Pankhurst Centre, and that, to display them in the exhibition it just wouldn't have really worked, but as an archive piece they're really lovely, and that'd be really interesting for people in the future as part of speeches that have been made by women. As far as the pieces from the exhibition, I'm an artist, and there's some amazing artwork that's been submitted, that has been created this year, inspired by the 100 years since someone got the vote, or just generally about gender equality, and there's some absolutely gorgeous pieces that have been submitted. There's a really interesting piece by Emily Kane, who is at the School of Art at the moment, and it was in an exhibition earlier on this year, and that looks at the referendum in Ireland, the abortion referendum in Ireland that happened a few months ago, and it's a really striking piece and really, really quite prominent. I'm really excited for that to be shown, and it to get a wider audience as well, because it's such an important thing that's happened this year for women internationally. And to have a piece that's so strong and so prominent in the exhibition is really exciting. And then I guess there's I think the piece that surprised me the most was Stacey Copeland's shorts that she's donated to the archive. I mean, they're amazing, and she's achieved so much in her career, and the fact that she's obviously well aware of the fight for women's equality, and also historically. So for her to get the shorts commissioned as a centenary piece is really exciting, and for them to be shown as well is great. So they're really, those two pieces really sort of show the diversity of what's in the exhibition as well, I think. I mean, inspiration would be amazing for people to come along and think that, like you say, it's not just about shouting, it's about the creativity you can use within activism, and the inventive ways that you can get your message across. It's not just about who can shout the loudest. It's we're all there's so many amazingly creative and talented and intelligent women around that we don't just need to. I mean, there's nothing wrong with shouting, but nothing wrong with that at all. It's all got its place, but it's let's attack from different angles. And I think as well, the reach for the people that use the centre. There are obviously the museum visitors who will hopefully pop into the exhibition as well, they're probably the people that are a little bit more aware of what's going on anyway. But I think the people that use the centre on a more from the Manchester Women's Aid, I would hope that they would get strength and inspiration from some of the pieces, and just feel like there is people, you know, supporting them, and, you know, we're in this together, sort of, as well, on a more sort of emotional, supportive level as well. There was a conscious decision of the pieces that we put in the room that is used for the drop-in centre, and we consciously decided to put the images that had been used in Manchester City Council's campaign for strong women, and we wanted that in there because these are everyday women who, you know, and to show that, you know, everyday women can, you know, have their own battles and can still make those battles. So there's a few, one of the workshops we did as ambassadors was with Laura Dean, who's a photographer, and she makes zines herself out of the photos that she creates. And we had a couple of hours to learn about what zines are, and then have a little go at sort of getting some ideas together. And I cut up one of the pieces that we've got in the exhibition, the marching women, well, the Morris dancers, but they look like they're marching, so yeah. And then, so we picked elements from different people's pieces to use in the final zine that is going to be as part of the exhibition. So we've got like a map that's representing the history pin map, and we picked different elements from different people to have, and it accompanies the exhibition. So it's not an exhibition catalogue or anything like that. It's, you know, zines are sort of political statements, and we wanted that sort of handmade sort of feel to it. I think this whole project has shown that beyond just being a museum, there's activism that goes on in these walls, and there's, you know, women supporting each other from the Emmeline's Pantry in the basement, and obviously the Manchester Women's Aid. But this project's managed to bring a lot of things together, and I think it's also people have become more aware of the centre through this project, I think. People I've spoken to about the Pancake Centre, I've been aware of it, I volunteer at the museum, but I think it's brought in a different group of people to maybe more activist people as opposed to museum goers. So I think it's opened up, you know, that more people are aware of the place at the moment. So yeah, I mean, you look back at the last 100 years, and obviously we've come a long way, and isn't that great? But there's so many more. There's so much further that needs to go, and you know, we need to, you know, until we've got 50% female or women MPs and CEOs, and you know, actually we're represented at the top as well as in everyday life. So, you know, we can walk down the street without fear of being attacked, and you know, it's the things that not everybody, you know, unless you're a woman, you don't understand, and you never will understand. You can try as hard as you like to be as supportive, you know, if you're not a woman, but you're never going to understand that, and it's that battle that keeps going, and we've just got to keep chipping away at it. And I think that's why this sort of project is so important, and other sort of feminist activist projects I've been involved in. It unites women who are all fighting for the same cause, and it's strength in numbers, and we can feel like we're part of a team and part of, you know, a future that we can, you know, step by step, you know, sometimes it's just baby steps, and sometimes it can feel overwhelming, but we have to look at those little steps that, you know, as little achievements. And exhibitions like this, it's a way of celebrating, yes, how far we've come in 100 years. So hey, let's see what we can do in the next 100 years.